Hey everyone, it's Ansley here from T Music Insider, and today I'm with.
Oh, hi, Alex, also known as Havelin.
So Alex, you started your acting career at a very young age. What inspired you to try acting?
Honestly, the whole thing was kind of a big accident for me. I never really intended to get into acting. I was a musician, and I tried out for this singing show, and then I somehow landed that, and then through that I got an audition for the show that I'm currently on, Lost and Found Music Studios, and I guess somewhere along the way I figured out that I actually like this whole acting thing, and it's something that I do want to pursue in the future now.
That's awesome. Has there been an actor or actress that's influenced you in your career?
I don't think there's been one that's necessarily personally influenced me in what I do, but but I think that there are definitely a lot of performances that I admire. You know, people like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, a lot of Colin Farrell stuff, Morgan Freeman, Nicolas Cage, just out of pure amusement for the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. So have you ever been starstruck, I guess, from going to these events that you get to go to through Lost and Found?
I've never been really a person that gets starstruck, but I've definitely met a lot of really cool, really interesting people that I love working with. So,
Cool. So the Netflix series, like you were talking about, Lost and Found, how does this show compare to real life for people who are trying to make it as a musician?
I think there are a lot of tie-ins with common struggles that people have when they're up and coming in this industry. Um, I think that some of it is a little exacerbated to a certain extent, but it's I think there's a little less teenage drama in the actual music industry, but there's definitely a lot of tie-ins, and there's a lot of relatable stuff in there about what it's like to be a struggling musician.
Yeah, okay. What's set life like for you?
It's a lot of fun for me. I like it. It was pretty wild hours. Like we'd be working 10 to 12 hour work days. So you'd lose an entire day. You wake up at 6:30 and then you end at 7:30. But it was a lot of fun working on set, and I found the people were awesome, and I love the whole thing because I love being busy. I hate not doing something.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun for me to be in an environment where I can actually constantly be working and constantly be doing something.
So what's an average day for you look like on set?
On set, it was a lot of wake up early, grab a coffee on the way to work. I stayed in an apartment that was just a couple of blocks away from the studio, so I could just walk to set every morning. So I had a nice little walk, had a coffee, got there, got into wardrobe, went through hair and makeup, and then basically figured out what we were doing that day, and then went on set.
Awesome. So who on the set did you really click with at first when you started the show?
I mean, honestly, it sounds cliche to say this, but like everybody working on the show is phenomenal, and I connected with all of them in a lot of different ways. And I was a person who didn't have a lot of friends growing up, and I was suddenly in an environment where there were all of these awesome people that I felt like I'd been looking for my whole life.
Oh, that's awesome.
So there were I've definitely become really good friends with some of the cast members, and I mean I was in Toronto a couple of months ago, and I spent a lot of time with them when I was there. So some relationships I'm probably going to take to the end of my days.
So how does it feel to sing on the show?
It feels great. It feels great to be doing what I love doing, and like I said, I wasn't setting out to be an actor, so it's really nice to have an element of familiarity in it.
Yeah.
So there is something that I'm used to doing that's a part of it. So the acting is a new challenge, and then the singing is a comforting thing that I get to do every day, and I love it. So it's the best job in the world.
That's awesome. How did you get into singing in the first place?
Growing up, I was always really surrounded by music. My mom's a classically trained singer. My dad used to be in theater. So I was always around lots of really good music. Like my lullabies were like Bob Marley, Tom Waits, Warren Zevon. And that sort of pushed me towards music because I always found comfort in it. I always found it something that gave me a lot of interest no matter where I was. so I just kind of through some school music programs and all that, I sort of stumbled into it and found out that I actually really loved it and decided that, hey, this is what I'm gonna do with my life.
That's good to know at such a young age, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
How would you describe your musical style?
It varies. I mean, it depends on what I'm doing. I've done a variety of different projects with very different genre styles, but I think mostly what I do with under my name Havelin is mostly sort of folk singer-songwriter acoustic stuff.
Okay, what artists do you look up to right now that have, in fact, I guess, impacts on the Havelin name?
Mm. Well, definitely there's artists like Donovan Woods, Shaky Graves, a band called the Arkells. I always look back on Ed Sheeran because he was one of those guys that he was just a guy with an acoustic guitar, and he took over the world. People like Passenger, I saw him live a little while ago, and it sort of restored my faith in music because here's one guy with an acoustic guitar captivating like 6,000 people.
I know, I love Ed Sheeran's new music that just really was released. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
Can we expect any new music soon?
I am working on some new music. I believe that I will have an album coming soon, full-length album. I don't know just yet. I don't know when, but it will be coming this year.
Awesome. Well, I'll look forward to that. Are there any other projects in singing or music you can tell us about? Or like acting?
So far there's not really acting, but there's a couple of things musically that I'm doing. There's a couple of side projects that I'm starting with some friends and some familiar faces to people who watch young music television kind of stuff. But yeah, so there's some stuff in the works. I can't really say exactly what it is yet, but there's definitely stuff happening.
So does your fan base have a name yet?
I don't think so. If they do, I hope they don't go off of like my last name. That would be awkward because it's a very long last name. I don't know. I mean, it would be cool if they came up with one, but as of right now, I don't think there is one.
How do you want your relationship to be with your fans?
I want people to just know that I'm a regular guy. I want if my music can affect people and it can move them in some way, that would be amazing for me. And I want to know about it if it does. I want them to tell me. I want them to be able to reach out and have that communication with me. And, I just want to create sort of a community around what I do, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. It totally does. Have you had any like crazy fan encounters that you've had?
None that were really crazy. I mean, there were a couple of people that recognized me in public, which was kind of strange for me, but and it was always at really weird times. Like one time I was in a store buying cold medicine because I was sick, and this little girl recognized me, and her mom wanted to take a picture of me and her, and I had to hide the bottle of cold medicine behind my back because I didn't want people to think it was something else.
Oh, jeez.
And then there were a bunch of times on public transit, which is always really awkward because it's like the worst part of anyone's day, being on a bus, sitting there, and someone comes up to you and, you want to devote your full energy and attention to them and because it's awesome. It's really cool when someone recognizes you and knows who you are. But it's so awkward when you're on a bus and all you want to do is just lower your head and just I'm going home. I'm tired,
What social media platform do you use most?
I use Instagram a lot, Twitter a little more recently. I never know what to say on it, but I use it now. That's the thing. Yeah, so probably those two would be the best two. I've got a Facebook page. I don't know if YouTube counts as social media, but I'm on there. So.
So now that you're kind of offset, what's an average day look like for you now?
It depends on where I am. When I was living in Toronto recently, I was busy every day. I was doing writing sessions. I was out recording. I was working with lots of different people, doing a lot of really weird things. So it would be, I'd wake up relatively late in the day because I'm a musician and I don't go to sleep until 3 a.m. So, I'd wake up around 12, get ready, hop on a bus, go somewhere, do a writing session, do whatever. Now that I'm back home in Edmonton, it's a little slower. I'm spending a lot of time writing, and there's not just social time,
Yeah.
not a lot of work. But hopefully, in the coming months, that will shift. That's the goal.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years in your career?
Hopefully not an insane asylum. I would hope to be able to do what I love and make a living. Be able to support myself, and I would like that. I would like it if people bought my music and listened to it, and that sort of community I mentioned earlier grew.
Yeah.
I do whatever is interesting. So this whole industry is incredibly interesting to me. So I just hope that whatever I'm doing in 5 years still interests me.
Yeah, for sure. Have you set any goals for yourself?
It's hard to set goals in this industry, honestly, because it's so unpredictable, and you really stumble into opportunities is what I've found. So I think my goals would be to book some other acting job, improve my skills there. I would like to do an actual tour, playing music. That would be a lot of fun, I think. Stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. How has this whole music and action career experience been for you so far?
Wacky. I mean, it's really interesting. It's very surreal almost. When I talk to other people about it, people think it's really sort of strange, and that it's this otherworldly thing. But to me, it's just like this is my life. This is my job. This is what I do. And I just happen to be someone who gets to do what they absolutely love doing for work. So
That's awesome. So what would you say is your biggest accomplishment so far in your career as a singer and actor?
Well, I mean, like it was a big accomplishment for me to put out my first EP. That was really exciting. And then things like booking booking Lost and Found when I originally got it, because as I mentioned, no prior acting experience whatsoever, just some guy who had been in front of cameras before and could play music. And going into that, I was just like, they're not gonna hire me. What? And they did, and I think that was a really big moment for me.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for other aspiring artists or actors?
If it's what you love doing, don't give it up. I know that's really cliche, but there's not much advice that doesn't sound cliche.
Yeah.
But all of it's true. You work hard, be kind to everyone that you meet, always. And just don't be afraid to be open. Do anything and everything that comes your way.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any last things you want to tell your fans?
I'd just like to thank them so much for staying with me through all of this, and for being so supportive and awesome. And I've got new stuff coming soon, so keep an eye out for that, and stay cool.
Well, thanks for taking the time to do this interview.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Bye.
Bye.